think it's 6:03. Would everybody please stand and join me? It's our Town of Rhinebeck regular town board meeting. Today is the 8th of February. Please join me for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Is Andrew, let him in. Andrew, we've just admitted you to the meeting. Could you please let us know who you are? Andrew? Hello? Okay, great. Let's proceed. I've muted Andrew. Andrew, if you'd like to let us know who you are, I can unmute you. We're just trying to stop Zoom bombing. We have a public hearing tonight. Oh, first of all, approval of prior minutes. I'd like to make a motion to approve our prior minutes of January 25th, 2021. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Thank you, Chauncey. May I have a second? Alan? Great, thanks. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So, oh, Andrew Hollis, thank you. The resolution is approved unanimously. Great. We have a public hearing tonight on two public hearings open. A local law amending Town Code Chapter 125 zoning in the matter of adding definitions pertaining to hospitality uses in Article 13, etc. And a local law Town Code Chapter 125 zoning Section 68 in the matter of revising country and two standards to clarify the intent and requirements, etc. Michael Zarin, the attorney working with us, is here. We are going to take public comments tonight. We have just heard, we got the referrals back from our planning board and the County Department of Planning. We have not yet heard from our Conservation Advisory Board, but does anybody wish to comment on either one of these? Victoria.
Yes, hi, good evening. I'm Victoria Polidoro, attorney at Rodenhouse Shaw Polidoro, here on behalf of Mensch Grasmere. Thanks again for allowing us to participate in this zoning revision process. I think the end result is going to be much better than what we started with. And thank you for the most recent draft, which we believe went a long way to addressing concerns about accommodating families and small groups in a lodging unit while protecting the town's interests. We've provided technical comments to Attorney Zarin on the most recent draft, but we wanted to bring two substantive issues to your attention tonight. The first is public access. As drafted, the public access requirement is vague and open to differing interpretations. And if you watch the January Planning Board meeting, you'll get a sense of all the different ways it's been interpreted. Legally, we question any requirement that exacts public access in exchange for a land use approval. But that being said, Mensch Grasmere is willing to provide one full service restaurant with public access as part of the Country Inn 2, in addition to the right of any member of the public to book a hotel room and get full access to all of the facilities on the property. Anything more than that really devalues a membership, the cost and price of a membership. And those memberships are going to be available to members of the public, local members and members from out of town. Given the relatively small number of lodging units permitted on the property, it's imperative that this additional revenue stream be maintained as an option for a Country Inn 2 within the town. We believe that having one full service restaurant and public overnight accommodations is consistent with the town's intention as well. And we're just asking that you clarify that language so that it's clear. The second issue is another request for clarification on bedrooms or guest rooms. However, it turns out, or whatever you end up calling them, we did see the comments from the county. The issue here is that we're concerned about the ability of a living room to be called a bedroom. If a lodging unit has 2 bedrooms and a sitting area with a couch, you know, there's the potential for someone to sleep on a couch, and we don't want that to be categorized as 3 bedrooms. So anything you can do to clarify that a lodging unit can have bedrooms and, you know, sitting areas outside of those bedrooms that are not bedrooms would be helpful. We do plan on following up with written comments this week, formalizing these comments, but that's it for tonight.
Thank you, Victoria. Thank you for being so brief. Would anybody else like to comment on either one of these public hearings?
I would, Elizabeth. It's Kirsten.
Hold on, Kirsten. Sean has his hand up. Go ahead, Sean.
Oh, thank you. My name's Sean Kemp. I represent Rhinebeck Villas. And I previously submitted some written comments regarding the room definitions. So it's not so much to do with the other ordinance. And I think overall, I'd just like to impress upon the board and Mr. Zarin that we come up with a definition that that makes sense, that is used in the context of the industry that's being regulated, and here would be the hospitality industry. I understand that there's other issues that the town is concerned about, such as density and things of that nature, and my client and myself are mindful of those things. But at the end of the day, we really need a definition that is clear and understandable. I think the idea of giving too much discretion to the planning board in this process is not necessarily a good idea. I think the definition should be able to speak for itself. But with that said, I do agree with Victoria in the sense that we've come a great deal from where we first started with the original drafts that I think that came out in, say, September or October. I appreciate that the town has undertaken this process and has been receptive to comments. And I think that's really about it that I have to say.
Thank you. Kirsten.
Hi, Elizabeth. Will you be voting on this tonight?
No.
No. I have a question. The proposed code states that the provision of hiking trails, which provide opportunities for public use, shall be incorporated into the overall plan for the country and to the greatest extent practicable. If the intention is to have the developer provide trails for public use, then this statement should be more definitive. As drafted, it doesn't really clearly require a developer to comply.
Thank you. Anything else, Kirsten?
I think I'd prefer to see the code be a bit more restrictive. As of now, I feel like we've opened it up to give development more bedrooms and more lodging units. And for me, I feel like a developer can always ask for a variance, but once it's written in code like this, the town will be required to accept anything that's proposed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
May I make a follow-up comment?
No, no, not yet. This is not, Victoria, this is not a back and forth. So I don't want you to comment to Kirsten. You're speaking to the board about the laws in front of us. I won't take it back and forth. Does anybody else want to speak to the 2 laws in front of us? Victoria, if you want to say something else that's not addressing Kirsten's comment, please go ahead.
Well, I will address the comment to the board.
I will not take a back and forth. So.
Okay, you know, I will include my comment in the written letter, which we will be sending to the board this week.
Thank you. Anybody else? Michael, do you have anything to add here?
No, I think we've received valuable comments from a diversity of people and agencies. We will obviously take them all into consideration. We, based upon the opportunities for comment, and tonight, my recommendation would be to close the hearing at this juncture, leave it open for written comments for an additional 10 days until the 18th. Just for clarification purposes, we do have one further comment that we may receive from the planning board, just pursuant to they have a 60-day statutory time period, which will terminate. We expect to get their comments before the 10-day period elapses. So that would be my recommendation, Supervisor.
If you're okay, Michael, what I would prefer to do is to adjourn this until the 22nd, which is our next town board meeting. That will give us time to consider all comments, to have a committee of the town board, Chauncey and I, meet with you to address revisions if we think that they're necessary from any of the comments that we've heard, and come up with a new draft, lay it down, and continue public hearings. That's procedurally how we tend to do it here. And if that's okay with you, I think that's how we'd prefer to do it. Leave it open and revise.
I think that's fine.
Thank you. Okay, so we're going to adjourn the public hearings on both of these until the 22nd. We will take the time between now and then to consider all comments. Victoria, we look forward to your technical comments. We will discuss with Michael and our planner if we want to substantively rewrite these laws, either substantively or not so substantively. We'll still have to lay them down again before the town board and continue a public hearing. So that's what we'll do. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, good night.
Michael, thank you. We'll be in touch.
You're welcome.
Okie dokie, let's move along then. We have a couple of presentations. We have Norm Magnuson here talking to us about the waterfront kayak launch. Hi, Norm.
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
Well, it takes me a while to find the unmute.
I know. Tell me about it. Do we have a presentation for Norm? And if so, what tab?
You said you had the JPEGs that I'd sent.
Yeah, it's a question for our clerk. Which tab is it, John?
I don't think I got those on. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's
No,
okay.
I don't think so either. But we've all seen what Norm sent. At least I think we have. I know I have. The picture of the dock with the kayak.
What Norm's proposing, sorry, Norm, it didn't make it onto our
Right.
book, but what Norm's proposing is a kayak dock, which is sort of like an H-shaped dock or a U-shaped dock that a kayak could pull up into and be supported on either side, and would come off a portion of our current dock. It's about, go ahead, Norm, you talk. I don't need to.
So, up and down the Hudson River, lots of municipalities have these things. Hudson has one, Beacon has a really nice one. Athens and Coxsackie have the exact one that I propose purchasing. I've tried personally about 4 or 5 different models of the kayak launch, and the ones at Athens and Coxsackie are really the most intuitive and easy to use.
You say Coxsackie?
Coxsackie. How do you pronounce it? I don't even know.
I think it's Coxsackie.
Coxsackie. And it's actually V-shaped, and it's got a little bridge in the middle. So you paddle in, and then there's notches. It's made out of hard thermoplastic. There's notches. You can pull yourself in with your paddle once you get part way in, and it's super, super simple, and would make the Rhinecliff boat launch area a lot more accessible to kayaks. As it is now, kayaks launch on the actual incline, which is
a little tippy. Yeah.
Keep people from slipping. Some people, the younger, stronger people, can get into their kayaks standing on the dock and sort of slide in that way. But for people like me and almost everybody, it's impossible. So you put in on the incline. and that scrapes up your boat, and it's just not a very good way to do it. And that's why all of these other municipalities up and down the river have installed various kinds of kayak launches. The kind I'm proposing is from Easy Docks, and I guess you saw the pictures.
Yeah.
It's the launch itself is a couple of $1,000s. We're going to need one more section of floating dock. That's another couple of $1,000s, and then some hardware. The total estimate is just under $5,000.
Norm, were you able to speak to Bobby? You thought that we might have an extra portion of dock laying around somewhere?
You know, we don't. If in the end we don't need this extra section, which is $1,650, then we can return it to the company and they will take it back. One of the things, I talked to the representative from the company today, and watched all of the tutorials on how to install this. Now they'll install it for us for an extra $700, but it's really, really easy to install. And one of the things I like about that is if it turns out that you want to do other things there, like say a water taxi from Kingston or whatever, and this thing is not in a good spot, it's really easy to take it off and reinstall in a new spot.
Thanks. What is the name of the company again?
It's called Easy Docks.
Right. The dock would be located, Kirsten, the only place where we have water access in the town at the Rhinecliff town, public access at our Rhinebeck waterfront park, off a long dock there. You know, Norm, the reason why we're considering this now is because, you know, we're still in COVID lockdown, and we don't know what will happen in this summer with regards to our recreation and our pool with all the variations going on. You know, we're going to talk about that tonight. We just don't know. Normally, I'd say a $5,000 outlay, not in a budget time, is not a good idea, but we do want to consider this because of how people are living right now, sort of, you know, having to go outside alone, and anything that we could do to help that would be a good idea.
Yeah, it's I don't know, if you sit in town for a little bit, you see all of a sudden, you know, every other car has kayaks on top.
Well, my question, it isn't whether or not we want to do it. It's just this is a substantial outlay that hasn't been planned for. I usually like to plan for, but I think it's worthwhile considering outside a budget cycle because of where we are in terms of not being to offer traditional rec potentially for folks. So this is something that we could easily move money to where we won't use it if we aren't able to provide, you know, what we normally provide and have budgeted for.
Norm, I have a couple of questions. Ed Roberts here.
Yeah,
Is
hi,
this
Ed.
something that you remove it seasonally, you take it out, or do you leave it there all the time?
You know, you could do it either way. I would take it out. I would take it, you know, and I kayaked into November this year, but at a certain point, I was down there today, you know, the Hudson's packed with ice floes, and the kayak, the actual launch part is, you know, it's a couple of pins and
Right.
bolts that connect that to the rest of the dock.
And Ed, we remove the dock seasonally anyway, so anything attached to the dock would have to come out.
Yeah.
So my question is probably, is this something the town would have to maintain, or do you have volunteers that would do the upkeep of it?
You know, that's a good question. I hadn't thought about what kind of upkeep it might need. You know,
I'd answer that. It would be a town purchase. It would be our town responsibility. Our maintenance department would have to put it in and put it out.
Okay, and my last question.
That said, I'm sure I could find a small group of dedicated volunteers
It's
to
not.
keep it clean and stuff.
Okay, what's it made of?
It's thermal plastic, which is a super hard plastic, and really super durable and
Okay.
just strong.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the board? How do you guys feel about this? Board members?
I'm favorably inclined. Does it impact our dock in any way? What kind of connection is it? Is that an issue?
I'll send, you guys will have to look at the presentation that missed the booklet. It's kind of all in there.
Okay.
And if you want, I could send the PDF from the company that gives schematics and how it goes in.
If you could, Norm, send it to our town clerks and the town board.
Okay. There's
Great.
like 8 pieces, so that you
Great.
attach the bracket.
Okay,
and
what-
everything
sorry.
else.
Alan, go ahead.
Yeah, there's another proposal that has to do with the docks that's being put forward in the rec committee by the group in Kingston that has the solar powered ferry boat that goes back and that they're proposing to go back and forth. So we need to look at both
The
proposals.
solar powered ferry is a commercial endeavor
Yeah,
and they would want to use our docks.
that's correct.
So they might have to provide their own docking, you know,
Well,
not if they wouldn't, yeah, I mean, they'd have to work with what we have.
Right, but yes, but if they want to add to our dock, it's got to be coordinated with the kayak launch as well,
Or not.
or not. Be nice
Well-
to have both.
Well, I mean, we've offered our dock half a dozen times in the past to commercial ventures and nothing has been able to be sustained. And I believe that our dock is for our residents first, not, you know,
Yeah.
that's my belief.
I think if we can get a cut sheet on it and nail down with Bobby the actual mechanics of it, that would be a good step towards feasibility.
Great, let's work on that.
What's a cut sheet, Josh?
You know, schematic, cross-section through it, sequence of events, how it gets put together, what exactly one has to do. I mean, I'm sure it's pretty simple, but it'd be good to get that and just talk to Bobby about it because it's a moving object out there.
He's
Yeah.
gonna have to take care of it. So he's gonna have to maintain it and get it out of there. So, yes.
Great. All right, so we'll look forward to more information. It's only February, so we have some time. Norm, thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care.
Okay, next presentation we have is from Sue C. on the planting design and project implementation at the Rhinebeck Park. Is that in a tab too, John?
Tab 6 is the material that John gave us on it. Oh, sorry, 5, tab 5.
Thank you. Thanks. Hi, Sue.
Hey, hello, everybody.
Hi.
Thank you for seeing me. So did everybody get the email and attachments that I sent?
Yes.
Okay, so I don't know if I need to read the letter again to have it in the record.
Excuse me, Sue, is the material that Sue is referring to the material that's in tab 5, John?
Yes.
Okay.
I
Yes.
believe it is, Chauncey. There's a letter.
Yes, it is. I'm looking at it. It's tab 5.
Okay, we've got it then, Sue.
Okay, great.
So just briefly, this is, for the public, we got a donation from Sue to engage the Conway school to come up with a master plan. I'm sorry, the words are stuck a little bit. To come up with a master plan for planting sustainable gardens in our park, both for pollinators and shade and planting for the public. This is to hire a landscape architect to flush out 3 projects for the park. Is that correct?
Yes, I mean, I have 2 things that I'd like to address tonight, and that's one of them.
Good. Okay.
The proposal by Robert Eastman to do a study of shade trees and shade tree plantings, which was identified in the Conway study as being very desirable by the community.
But the 3 projects that are identified in this it's a pollinator garden by the Rhinebeck Community Garden. It's extending the Rhinebeck Community Garden, and it's the plantings to replace the white pines that were removed. I'm sorry, what kind of trees? White pines by the tennis court? Black pine? Spruce? Whatever was removed there. The only comment I have, Sue, is that we only provide the land for the community garden. So
What I'm asking for is just permission to extend the fence, as you see in that plan. That's
but why would we pay for a plan to do that? I mean,
No, that's not part of Robert's work. That's just part of what I'm working on separately.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Josh, what?
It's two separate things. I think Sue should present. It'll be more clear.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we've been needing a new fence at the Rhinebeck Community Garden for some time. And if you take a look at the plan, it seems to make sense to square off the garden.
Sue, do you have something you could put up on the screen for us?
Yes, let me just see. Hold on a second. Okay. Okay, so do I have access to share my screen?
Yeah, go ahead and push the share button. Let's see what happens.
Okay, so can you all see the plan that is there?
Thank you, yes.
So this is a Google Maps photo that I captured, and I scaled it approximately to scale. So the existing line of the community garden is this red line here. And we'd like to encapsulate this area here to add additional plots. As I said in my letter, there's a real need for plots at the moment. We have 13 people on our waiting list and only 3 plots available. And we also have, as you can see from the other letters, great interest from youth groups to be part of this community garden and use it as an educational experience, as well as a community service experience to grow food for the local pantries. So I think it just makes sense while we're going to plan on putting a new fence in to plan on incorporating this area, which would give us ample space for all of those uses.
Thank you.
And then the fence is the same length.
Good point, Alan. So I don't know mechanically how. I know that we grant the garden's use of that. So if we have to formally extend it or whatever needs to be done, I think that's a small piece on our end, and I'll take care of it.
I would reach out to the planning board and see if we have to do anything with them.
Okay.
I don't know what the mechanism is for granting, but we can prepare a resolution and are currently only Rhinebeck residents gardening in the community garden, or?
Yes, we have a policy of you must be a resident of Rhinebeck or Rhinecliff. Yeah.
Rhinebeck,
Yeah,
Rhinecliff is Rhinebeck.
Yes.
The only consideration I can think of is that there was architectural, archaeological stuff.
I understand that, and the way that I'd like to address that is by using no-till methods of installing new gardens, such as raised beds, lasagna gardening, and
And I think that was dealt with when this was put in, so that's why I said we had to reach out to the planning board.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I had one question regarding the tennis area.
Wait, Sue, I think she hasn't proposed that yet. This was the first part, right, Sue?
Yeah.
Okay, now your second part.
The second part is a proposal that was written by Robert Eastman, who is one of the grad students that worked on the initial design or study by the Conway School, to look at the whole park through the lens of, ecological resilience as well as community resilience. So we wanted him to take parts of that study, like identifying that shade trees are really important, especially in light of, climate change and warming temperatures. As also it was identified on the surveys as being important to like 80% of the people who did the survey. So he wants to look at where in the park might be appropriate for these shade tree plantings. Maybe we can eventually incorporate seating there or places to kind of linger. And what he mentions in the study are polyculture plantings, which might be, edible polycultures. And what that means is there are different layers or levels of planting. So you might have, a low layer with a shrubby layer as an understory, and then the actual shade tree. So he would be designing, what would go into these polycultures, as well as addressing the area near the tennis courts, what would work there. That might be a native variety and would not leave a mess as the coniferous trees that were there did.
That was my question.
Is this the point at which, let me start over if I may, Elizabeth. There are a number of things I'd like to touch on about this. I can do some of them now. I can hold them all till we get to
Let's
tab.
do. I think Sue's proposed to us. I just want to say that we have budgeted $10,000 for this plan. This is 7,300, but this is only for the plan. It doesn't include any planting, correct?
That's right. This is for yes, that's for the plan. And then he has a separate budget for the pollinator garden element that's around the community garden.
We haven't seen that budget.
That's on, it should be as part of that whole letter from Robert.
Oh, the 7,300 is for the pollinator garden plan and the tennis court planting plan.
Yes, I think that's correct.
But it does not include the planting. It is only for the planning.
That's correct. Yeah.
So will this plan also give us a budget for the
Yes,
planting?
it includes budgeting, once the design is settled on, to provide a maintenance and an installation budget.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, Chauncey, now's your chance. Chauncey first, then you, Josh.
I'm all for shade trees, but I have questions about shade trees in relationship to the tennis courts. Sue has mentioned one of them, that leaves coming down. There are issues with other things, pollen, sap, yeah, and whatever. Also, I used to play a lot of tennis, not competitively, but a lot. But it's been decades since I played much. And I don't recall for sure, but I don't think I ever played on an outdoor uncovered court that had shade in the playing area. It raises a lot of issues for a player. And then as far as the trees are concerned, you do, besides the droppings and so forth, you do have a potential issue for roots that grow under the courts and then do what happens to a lot of our sidewalks. And so, but with regard to shading near the tennis courts, and this mention is made specifically to provide shade on the tennis courts, that issue, or that proposal, which I think raises several issues for the player, causes me concern. And I would like to suggest that in order to address those, we ask one of our more dedicated tennis players.
We just lost them. Norm and Charles are our big tennis players. Chris Chesney, they're in the whole Sunday morning group down there.
Well, I think
hold on, Sue, hold on.
Oh, you mean from tonight's meeting?
Yes, yes.
Well, I'd like to have one of them ask one of them to work with Sue and Mr. Eastman and the rest of Sue's committee.
Sure. I thought when we took the trees down, we said we were going to replant, but your concern is that it's A, the right thing to do, and B, if we do it, that we're putting the right thing in?
Well, yes, and for example, to take just one kind of random thought that comes to me as you said that, it might, depending on the trees and how high they'll grow, it might be one thing to put them 5 feet from the tennis court fence. That might be objectionable, but maybe not if they're 15 or 20 feet back. So I think there are a lot of questions from the point of view of play, and we want somebody, I think we would do well to have somebody knowledgeable participate in all of this.
Susie, what is your response to that?
Well, in discussions with Robert, I know he was going to research best practices for shade trees around tennis courts. So I don't think he's just going to grab things out of a hat. I think he will do a little research on that and what other tennis courts use.
Could we identify another project that could go in the place of this if we don't want to do this? I mean, $7,300 for design of 2 areas, that's a lot of money for us.
Well, we've also talked about looking at signage, like interpretive signage. signage at the big entrance, the pedestrian entrance to the whole park, and signage interpreting, information about the Native American artifacts that have been found on the site, just information about the ecology of the site. So that could be another possibility to look into.
Personally, I'd rather start planting, to get things in the ground before doing signs. And a thing that concerns me is the naturalization of the front field, and maybe we look at a no-mow May or a no-mow summer and start introducing some pollinator-friendly plants in there.
I actually went to a speech or a presentation by Del Orlowski in the Woodstock area, who has put an 18-acre pollinator garden. So maybe I can approach him to see what it would be like to do that in the front area. You need specific equipment, and the timing of seeding and the different seeds involved would have to be chosen. But if you'd like me to, I could look into that.
Personally, that's one of my concerns. I don't know how everyone else thinks. I would love to see it naturalized. Josh, did you have a question?
No, I just wanted to make the point that there was a lot of effort put into this previous plan, and I think there's some inspirational ideas about the park, and these are a small dabbings of that, and I think it's important to continue the work that was done.
I do too.
Whether it's next to the tennis court or the pollinator garden, maybe we need to figure out exactly what the right areas are, but we need to do something. There was a lot of ideas to act
Sue, thanks for all your work on this, Sue. Ed, do you or Alan have any questions or comments?
Oh, I had the same comments that Chauncey had, and he
Okay.
answered my question. That's
So
fine.
he's covered it. Great. Well, let's go then to the resolution. Sue, thank you so much. Do you have anything to add?
I think that's it. I don't know if you've read the letters that are attached.
Yes. Okay, I'd like a motion. Sorry to cut you off. I'm just moving it along here. Resolution 2021-043, tab 5, proposals and contracts for installation of pollinator gardens. It's not installation, it's actually planning. Planning for the pollinator gardens and shade tree planting at the recreation park. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Thank you, Josh. May I have a second?
Second.
Thanks, Ed. Is there any discussion or any comments from anyone in the board?
Elizabeth, you did go to item 5 there?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, a couple things. One thing I think we want to do is have a legal review of these agreements. And they need updating. For example, if you look at the last page of the first one, there are references to dates, a date in January that it's expired, a date in February, which is February 12th, just around the corner. That needs to be attended to. I think we need to do something about getting insurance provided, and without subjecting you to the details, I think Article 7, termination, is kind of a mess and needs reworking. It's seriously ambiguous. So I think we need to.
If I may, let's make the signing of this contingent. I'd like to revise this and make the approval of the supervisor signing this contingent upon our legal review, Warren's review, and revisions of it, especially Article 7, updating the dates and ensuring that we get named as additionally insured for the project. Is that acceptable, Chauncey?
Sure. Is that a motion?
That's a motion for a revision to the open.
Excuse
motion.
me?
Second it.
Hold
Do
on,
you not-
John.
Before,
Hold on, John, hold on. All right, go ahead, John.
I was just wondering whether you don't feel that the final paragraph, the resolved paragraph, takes care of all of those objections.
Final paragraph of what, John, of the resolution?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you. I think we're fine and we don't need
Yeah,
to.
you've done it. Yeah, that's fine. Thanks, John.
Okay, great. It's already baked in because our clerk is on it.
Oh,
All in favor by hand? Aye. Any opposed? Plan passes unanimously. Sue, thank you very much. John, thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Okay. Now we have Vanessa Bertozzi, Village Trustee Extraordinaire, here to talk to us about tab number, somebody help me, 8. A letter in support for village grant application for green project involving town-owned Parsonage Street Bridge. Hi, Vanessa. Thanks for coming.
Hi.
Hi, Rick. Rick is here too.
Yeah, Rick's here too. Thank you so much for having us. So we're asking the town board for a letter of support. This is a project that will run along South Parsonage Street. It's a green infrastructure project. We're going for a grant. So whether or not this project actually proceeds is TBD, depending upon whether we get the grant. But we're approaching the town, even though this is right smack dab in the middle of the village, because the town actually owns and manages the little bridge there on South Parsonage that crosses over the Landsman Kill. So we wanted, first off, to make it absolutely clear that we're not going to be working on the bridge at all. But what we will be doing is creating sidewalks in the approach to the bridge on either side. So this letter of support does 2 things. It really makes that clear. And then it's also a show of support as our friends and neighbors and our fellow municipalities. And it will strengthen our application.
Grants love to see people working together.
Right.
Great. I will, do you guys have any questions? This has been reviewed by our highway superintendent. He's fine with it. You know, it's totally in keeping with the goals of our town board and in sustainability and green infrastructure, and, you know, in the spirit of working with our municipality across the street, the village. So does anybody have any questions or comments before I ask for a motion? Let's ask for a motion. I'll ask for a motion.
Motion.
Thank you, Josh. This is for resolution
Number 8.
21044 tab, I'm sorry. Yes, thank you. Tab 8, resolution 2021-046, letter in support. So that's Josh and who?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Alan. Is there any further discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Thanks, Vanessa.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. I'll have it signed for you tomorrow.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming. We really appreciate it. And thanks for doing this project. It'll be great. Just give me a chance because okay. Where are we now? Now we are,
Resolution.
thank you, Ed. Tab number 1, resolution 2021-036, replacement of solar inverters for town pool system, tabled from January 21st. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Thank you, Alan. May I have a second?
Go ahead.
Second.
Thank you. I am supporting this, even though it should have been budgeted for. It chaps me to take money out of contingency in February, but I feel like if we don't do this, we'll have a solar system that's not feeding into our grid. So it's a lose-lose.
That's right. It's just the way it happened, the way it was carried over. We didn't, I understand, you're right. But it
Okay,
was,
any further comments or questions from the board members? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Resolution, this is tab 2, 2020-040, appointment to Conservation Advisory Board. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Thank you, Josh. May I have a second?
Second.
Who interviewed this person?
I did.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions from the board members? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Joe Button, thank you very much for stepping up and joining our Conservation Advisory Board. Thanks, Josh.
Wait,
Tab-
I'm sorry, was that number 2? I need to amend that.
Well, it's too late. You'll have to wait until new business.
Okay.
We
I missed it. I was.
we voted already, Ed.
I didn't see this. I
You
missed it.
snooze, you lose.
Tab 3, Resolution 2021-041, Plan for Operations in the Event of a Declared Public Health Emergency Involving a Communicable Disease. I will make a motion. May I have a second?
Second.
Thanks, Chauncey. This is our pandemic operation plan that's mandated by the governor. We have to pass a resolution, we have to refer it to our unions, and then we have to show the state that we've adopted this. Is there any further discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved. I need a motion for resolution 2021-042 for our revised cemetery rules and regulations. May I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Ed. May I have a second?
Second.
Chauncey, was that you?
Yes.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved unanimously.
We did 5.
Thank you, we did. Tab 6, Resolution 2021-044, soliciting bids for maintenance of trees at Town Cemetery. May I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Thanks, Ed. May I have a second?
Second.
Thanks, Alan. Is there any discussion or questions here? We have this budgeted for, this is part of our ongoing maintenance at the cemetery. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Thank you, gentlemen. Resolution, this is tab 7, Resolution 2021-045, appointment of members to the Community Choice Aggregation, or CCA, advisory group pursuant to local law 3 of 2019. May I have a motion? Josh?
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Thank you, Alan. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Carries unanimously. Thank you, gentlemen. We've done 8. We're on to 9. May I have a motion for resolution 2021-047?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. Thank you, Ed. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Alan. This is housekeeping. We are hiring another temporary part-time worker as needed with the rates here. So we are staffed to the core, and we are able, with our union contract, to hire people to come in and help us when we need snow plowing. So that's what this is for. Is there any other discussion or questions from the board members? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Carries unanimously. Thank you, gentlemen. Tab 10, Resolution 2021-048. I'll make a motion for our preliminary accounts payable abstracts, 10 checks for $10,601.57. May I have a second?
Second.
Thanks, Alan. Any questions or discussion from the board? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Carries unanimously. Thank you. Tab 9, Resolution 2021-049, preliminary accounts payable abstracts, 33 checks totaling 100. I'll make the motion for resolution 2021-049, totaling $189,435.04. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Chauncey. Any questions or comments from the board? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved. I have a piece of new business. I would like to propose a resolution to allow the supervisor to sign for an extension on our Alta planning contract, to extend it to October 31st. It's going to expire in March and we need some more time. So
Twilighting, we're just extending it.
I'm sorry, what, Joshi?
It was twilighting, we're just extending it. There's no.
Yes. We're just asking for more time. It's the same contract. We're just asking for you to allow me to an extension, extending it through October. We don't think we'll need that long, but it's just a CYA.
Yep.
Any questions or comments from the town? Oh, did we motion this?
No.
I'd like to motion. I'd like to motion a resolution to allow the supervisor to sign for an extension to the Alta contract through October 31st of 2021. May I have a second?
Second.
Thanks, Josh. Are there any comments or questions from the board? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Carries unanimously. Thank you. Is there any other new business before the
Yes, I
town?
have one. I'd like to propose a resolution to accept Ed Bergstraser to the Conservation Board.
Have you interviewed him?
I've read his resume. Yes, I have it here. He's
You've-
done a lot of work on.
You interviewed him or you read the resume?
I just read the resume. He has
I-
you as.
I think
contact.
he's great. I know Ed personally. I think we have to start interviewing people and making sure they know what the commitment is.
I mean, I've talked to him and he really wants to do this and he has background in zoning as well as, if I can find my sheet of paper. As well as, he worked for AT&T on zoning.
Do we have a second for this?
Not
I'll
yet.
second.
Who did,
Thank you.
Chauncey?
Yeah,
Yes. Winnicke Land Trust, zoning issues on AT&T.
No,
Yeah.
he would be great. I
He
just,
would.
it's just speaking to
I
our
know, I
practice. If
understand.
not,
I see.
Ed would be fantastic. Any further discussion or comments from the board? All in favor?
aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Ed Bergstrasser, thanks very much for stepping up to our Conservation Advisory Board.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Ed. Any other new business before the town board? We have Carrie McCurdy here, our rec director, just to briefly discuss what we're going to do, if anything, if we know, for camp. Go ahead, Carrie. Camp
Hi,
and
everybody.
school. Hi.
Nice to see faces. I wish it was in person. Yeah, thank you for letting me bring this to you guys tonight. So I would like to start planning for the summer. I know that, we don't know exactly what's going to happen. However, traditionally, we start in January with putting out advertisements, contacting former staff to see if they're interested in coming back and getting the ball rolling. And then usually around February, beginning of March, we would start to advertise for, other new people to come in. When I spoke to Elizabeth, she had mentioned that we're not sure what we're doing, of course, this year due to COVID, and that we wait for a while to get started, which I certainly understand that thought process. However, the problem is that there's a lot of paperwork involved. There's a lot of back and forth, and it takes a long time. So what I would like to do is to get started and do what we did last year, which means that it would be contingent and the people that we would be talking to bring on board, and this would include both for the camp and for the pool, would be aware that it's contingent. Now, the Dutchess County Department of Health has not updated their COVID guidelines for pools and camps as of yet. They're still the same as last year. However, although we made the decision last year not to open, that was not the Department of Health telling us that we couldn't open. We could have.
That was our decision and we stand by
Correct.
it. And we
Yes.
will make our own decision again this year.
Oh, no, absolutely, absolutely. But what I did want to bring to the board's attention is that, and I was unaware of this until recently myself, actually, the town of Poughkeepsie actually did have their camp last year.
Well, a lot of people had their camps and a lot of people had modified camps.
Right, and it was modified, and that's what I wanted to discuss. Actually, in this area, not many municipalities had camp, and the town of Poughkeepsie does not have a pool, but they did have their camp. They had it at half capacity. They had no reports of COVID or spread through their camp, and I've been told, actually, Catherine, our camp director, knows the person who is the health director there for that
know,
camp.
I think
ahead.
you're right, and we have to plan, but we're seeing these variants, and no one knows.
Right.
I would like to see residents only. I would like to see diminished capacity, and maybe we'll be able to open the pool up for lane swimming for different age groups who've been inoculated or something. We don't know, but I agree we have to prepare and then see where we are. What do
Okay.
you guys think?
I agree with that.
I do too.
Definitely, and I take it because of the way Carrie has presented this, that the contingency planning last year went well enough, Carrie, that you're confident enough to want to do it again this year.
I want to prepare to
Right.
do
What do
it
you mean?
again.
What do you
this
mean
year.
do it again, Chance? We didn't do anything this year.
Yeah.
Last year.
No, I didn't. What we did last year that we would be doing this year is doing this contingency planning.
Oh, okay, right. Yeah. Yeah, I think we're
Yeah.
all on the same board, Carrie. I
Okay.
would like to propose that it's only for Rhinebeck residents, and everything is what you bring to us. We're not going to have camp for 100 kids, and
Right.
maybe we have to look at age groups, upping the age levels. This is something that you and Catherine are going to have to look at. Maybe
Yeah.
6-year-old kids are too little with masks on all day. We don't know. So
Yeah, we talked, I already spoke with Catherine, and we actually had quite a few ideas about half capacity, possibility of 2 different sessions according to age group per day, so that nobody's really there all day, as a possibility.
you'll write this all up and present it to us, get it out to us.
Sure.
But I
Yes,
think we're on board with starting, correct, gentlemen?
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, awesome,
you.
that's great.
Thank
Okay,
you,
that
Carrie.
will,
And
that will help a lot.
Let's you and I email back and forth. I'll review how we broke out your hours, and we'll make sure that it's Josh and Alan, right? I'll copy everybody on what I'm expecting in
Good.
terms of hours.
Perfect.
Thank you. Thank
Okay,
you.
great. Thanks so much.
Hopefully we can do something this summer.
Oh, I really hope so.
Thanks,
All right.
Carrie.
Thanks,
It's good to
everyone.
see you. Great.
You too. Bye-bye.
Annual Transfer Station DEC report, attachment 12. I just put it on here because, we haven't done this for years. We've, since Barbara, I'm sorry, since our 2 past transfer people retired, and we now have to report to the DEC. Ed, you're on this with our
thank you.
staff?
Yep.
And you think we'll be able to get it in the next week or so?
I hope so. We'll see. We're starting to work on it. Work on a couple hours this coming Thursday before they open up. Yeah.
Have him spend the extra time, not on a day, or yes, let's get it
Yeah.
done, because we face a $1,500 a day fine if we don't do it. So,
Wow.
yeah, I'll keep in touch with the DEC, but I want to wrap this up in the next week or so.
It's supposedly due March 1st.
What?
It's supposedly due March 1st. So we have to, yeah.
I thought it was
Yes.
March 15th or April 1st. We got to
No,
get
I
it done then. It has to be done this week.
Okay, can I give them some extra time? They don't have all those
Yes,
hours.
yes, it has to get done. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Let's get it done.
I'll tell them.
Have them get it done this week. I want Shelley and Joan and I to review it, and John, and then we'll get it into the DEC.
Yeah, call them to me. Yep.
I would like to make a motion to go into executive session to discuss 2 specific employees, employment history, health issue, etc.
Okay.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor of going into executive session?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.